Hey guys, it's Wanda from Crazy Days, and today I have a friend with me, and we're going to start a series on just women in general. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of different things, and there's no telling where Sharon and I are going to go, and we're going to introduce Sharon in just a minute. And if it gets a little bit of editing, it's okay, because we can always cut out something that we don't need to say here. And we're just going to have some women talk for a while, because that's kind of what a lot of women need on a homestead right now. And so this is Sharon from Gulch Farm. Yeah. And so introduce yourself a little bit about what you and your family, and then we'll start talking about homesteading.
My name is Sharon, and I am from South Louisiana, and we're the Gulch Farm. I'm a wife, a mother, grandmother. I'm a pastor's wife. We do it all. We multitask every day. We divide ourselves between our homestead and our church and our grandchildren, our children, and this is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And this is how we survive.
And I got to meet Sharon, about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
It's probably been at least 3, and she's become one of my great prayer partner. And if I need something, I can call on her. She came to one of my first canning classes, brought some of her girls, and she's been canning up a storm since then.
Oh, yeah.
She's turned into a modern canner.
A modern canner. Yeah.
That's one of the things. And so she came last week and got some pears, and she's back picking up some other things here. And so tell me a little about when you started homesteading, or have you homesteaded all your life?
No, I was raised on a farm. I grew up on a farm. And then we got married, grew up and got married, and I come to the convenience of the frozen vegetables in the grocery store, and I thought I'd never do this again.
Amen.
I'd never do this again. And then I realized the damage that we were doing to our bodies, and by all the stuff that we're buying in the stores. And my husband and I we wanted to raise our own meat, raise our own vegetables, and get back to the way that we were supposed to be to begin with. And so we'd been praying. We always look for a place to buy, to be our own, and to do like the Lord has led us to do. And it didn't happen until about 3 years ago. We've been homesteading on an acre of land. We've raised all our meat and most of our vegetables, and what we couldn't raise, we bought. And now we've had the timber cut on our land. We've had our septic tank put down. We've got our electricity. We've got our well. And we're supposed to move our trailer onto it.
And how much land is that?
20 acres. 20 acres. And now the Lord has opened the door for us to buy the 5 acres attached to it. So we're going to have 25 acres. We're going to feel like we're in heaven already.
And Sharon has several children and grandchildren, and several of them have disabilities or allergies or things like that. So that played a big part in your homesteading and growing things, right?
And getting back, to none of the preservatives, none of the stuff in it. My daughter had issues all of her life with her health, and we didn't know what it was. And it just wasn't until after she had a tragedy in her life, and her firstborn was stillborn, and finding out what was going on and what it was. And she just began to research, and so we found out that we had that. And then I have a special needs grandson that he just can't. And then my grandchildren are being born, and they have food intolerances and allergies and stuff. And so we just decided, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to grow what they can eat.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
And she also does essential oils. Now, she gave me a lot of ideas when I was starting my essential oils, and I like the ideas she has. But how did you get into the essential oils?
Through my middle daughter. Through my middle daughter, she has a handicapped son, and he was on antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, and we knew that wasn't good. We knew that wasn't good for him. So she just began to research and come up on the essential oils, and she got her first kid, and that's what I want. I want my kid. And then we just started, and it has been such a blessing to us that I don't take any medicine, and most of my family doesn't take any kind of medicine now, in any over-the-counter stuff or anything. We depend on our oils, and we have been healthy.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing to me, because so many people have them and they put them on a shelf and they don't use them. You use them.
We use
And
them.
she has a to-go bag because she showed me that the first time, and I love the way she had it set up. So I have one of my own that goes with me, and I have a box of stuff. I have my books, and you would recommend books also, right?
I recommend books. I know we have a lot on the internet and all that, but you need a hard copy in your hands so that you can rely on and go back to. And whatever you may be facing, whatever you go through, there's things that we come up, there's stuff that come up all the time that I can go to my books and research it and find it out and work on it and go get my oils and mix my oils and stuff and just found out, Wanda, my husband's a diabetic and his A1C was up. And since COVID, he has been taking airborne and vitamin C and stuff like that. Never realized there was added sugars in that.
It's in everything.
It's in everything. So we found out that I almost called the oils, that these particular oils would help prevent him getting, build his immune up, keep his immune up, his from getting anything that's in the world. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And so the deal is with oils and stuff, name brand, a brand that is has a good reputation.
Yeah.
There's several out there, and she used a different brand than I did,
That's right.
but they both were good brands. They both are doing what they say they do.
Doing what they say.
And we don't recommend the cheap over-the-counter, you can
Not
buy
at
them at
all.
the dollar store type oils. Get something good, get a book, and like she said, have something in hand, because you may have something go on today and you can't remember. If you're sick or tired, your brain doesn't function real well. To be able to pick a book up and go, oh yeah, that's what I need. Because I know in my own heart, lots of times when I get sick, I'm sitting there going, what do I need to take? What do I need to take? What do I need to take? You can't think. And so having a book helps you to and I've got a box for this stuff going around.
Yes.
I've got a box.
Me too.
And I've
I
got
got a
everything
box.
stashed in there.
That's right.
Every time I hear somebody say, you need this,
Yes.
I'm sticking it in that
Yes.
box, and it's on my dresser. And I told
That's right.
Danny, I said, if I'm sick, bring me the box. And then I'll go, okay, somebody said this, and this, And I have a list, and I'm writing things down. If
Yes.
people said, don't lay on your back, lay on your stomach. I'm writing things down, because if you're sick, that might not resonate. You may not
That's right.
remember that.
That's right. And I have even got me a book and the blends, the oils that I put in the bottles, the blends that I make, I write it down. I write what I use it for, where to put the oils out on your body, so that my husband, my children can come in and they can pick that book up and what we're facing, we can go through that little notebook that I have that I've wrote my blends down in, that I love, that they love. They talk about it being a treasure to them because Mama's wrote it down for them.
Well, if you didn't, one thing I learned, my mom liked a certain blend for her hands. Her hands would give her fits, and I mixed a blend, and she could just rub it on at night, and she could relax and go to sleep. And I misplaced where I put it one day. And she said, I need some more. And I'm like, okay, where did I put that paper?
Yeah.
So I had to make a thing for that and write it down. The amount of oils,
That's
the
right.
amount of carrier, how many drops of this, how many drops
How
of
many
that.
drops, that's exactly right.
Because you never know. It's kind of like canning. You better write on it.
You better write
it down on top of it what it is, because the next person might not
Because
know
never
it.
assume that anybody knows anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So guys, Sharon and I have been talking a little bit. Oh, I forgot, you are a pastor's
I
wife.
am a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
One of the greatest privileges in my life is to be a pastor's wife of the greatest church this side of heaven. And it's hard work sometimes, in dealing with people, and it's hard work, and sometimes you just need a relief, and it may be your homestead, it may be the friend,
Yeah.
visiting with a friend, whatever it is. But being a pastor's wife is a blessing to me. And I never thought I'd be that. I was an old drug head, and the Lord delivered us. And here He called us to be a pastor. When He called my husband, He called me, called my children. And
some people don't get it. Being a pastor, the whole family's actually the pastor too.
That's right.
They want us compartmentalized.
Yes,
But now she has her husband, and you both pastor together.
yes,
And your children are a part of that.
Yeah, all part
And
of our
y'all all
ministry.
sing, play
Yeah.
instruments. Somebody does something. All
Teach
of it.
Sunday school. We clean the toilets. We do it all.
Yeah.
You know, it's a family thing. Matter of fact, when we came and they called for us to try for a church, our daughter was the deciding factor, because she said, "Daddy, it felt like I came home," and so that was our answer. So we included them in that. We've included them in everything because we're about our family. Our homestead is about our family. Our church is about our family. Everything is about our family, because that's how God has blessed us. We shouldn't have this, but we do, and He's blessed us, and we love it. When I started canning, none of my children can. None of them wanted to can. Now all of them, in some way, is canning. 4 out of the 5 they've got jars full of food on the shelf. So
And that's amazing.
It's amazing.
And so I got to meet them. She came to one of my canning classes, the first one I had, and brought, how many of the girls? 3 or 4?
3 of them.
3 of the girls.
3 of them.
And so from that point on, you had already canned some.
Yes,
But that
was-
got them interested a little bit.
It did. It did. When they saw that Mama's not crazy, that other people is doing this, and they saw how easy it is to put food on the shelf for your family when we came over here, and all 3 of those girls are canning.
Yeah.
They came.
And so you have chickens, turkeys,
Ducks, geese, rabbit.
and on the
Beef.
25 acres, you're going to have cows, right?
We've got cows on the 25
You've
acres
already
now.
got 'em.
That was the first thing we did. One of the infrastructures we put up was fence. We built a calf pen, what we call a calf pen. We've got cows in there now.
Okay.
That we're expanding. You know, we're trying to be as self-sufficient as we possibly can, and we've just been working on it all.
And so she brought me some homemade bread and a turkey that they raised and processed in the last couple of days. And you pretty much now can meat.
Yes.
You also can vegetables and fruits.
Mhm.
And she makes bread, good bread. And I guess overall, how much do you buy from a grocery store exactly? I mean, still, I know you have to buy some.
I would say about 20% if you consider the salt and sugar, flour, you know, like that, oil. That's probably about what we got, you know, and we want to go as close as we can to be self-sufficient, and, you know, because our world is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Our world is changing.
So I know you have a daughter that has issues like Danny does with what she eats. And she uses like the acre flour, and I've just bought that trying for Danny.
Yeah.
But so this is stuff y'all have to buy. But when you raise, like if you can get a cornfield going and you raise corn, or you could raise something, is it possible she could eat it, or is it something that she still could
Well,
not eat?
we already have the seed for that.
Acre?
For that corn.
Okay.
To grow that for her. So we've made provisions to do this.
Mhm.
You know, to not, because we didn't have the land. Now we're going to have the land,
Mhm.
and it's our goal to keep expanding on that. But to have our land that we can grow stuff, so that we can take care of our children, take care of our grandchildren, so that they, because just like the not knowing that the energy boost or immune system boost that we were taking was causing my husband's A1C to go up.
Mhm.
You have to learn these things. Like Wanda said, they put sugar in everything. So we had to learn, and because just in going to, you can't go to fast food restaurants because there's so much stuff in it that just sets their system, and it takes sometimes weeks for them to get it out of their system, and it's miserable. So if we can plant something and grow something, you know, yes, it's labor intensive, but to know that my child is going to be healthy, it's worth every hour, every drop of sweat, whatever it is to do. And on top of this, we love this. We love doing this. I was canning pears yesterday, and I told my daughter-in-law and one of my daughters, I said, y'all, I still love this. I love doing this. I love sharing this with people and saying that I done this. Some of my family were sick recently, and I was able to take meat off of my shelf and take to them and give them meals, and them not have to work and
Cook something. They just heat it up.
Yes.
And recently, your family has went through this sickness that y'all all know is going around. and you and your husband did not get it, but you want to explain a little about that and what happened in your close family, because they are very close. They are in and out of each other's houses all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They go to church together, and it hits everybody.
It does. It hits everybody, and it kind of calmed down in our area. So we kind of let our guard down, and a lady came to church, and 19 out of my family got it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 22 of us, and 19 of us got it. And part of my ministry is ministering to my family and taking care of my family, cooking for my family. But I couldn't go to them. This isolated my children from their parents and us from each other. And I would stand outside their home. The Lord would wake me up during the night, and I would go outside their home and pray and ask God to keep His hand on them. One of the most helpless feelings that their dad and I have ever had is not being able to help our children. And some had a mild case, and some, it's a miracle of God that they're here. And we would stand outside their home, and we would plead the blood over them, and we would pray for them. And God has just been merciful and brought it through. But we decided that this is not going to separate us, and that we're going to tell people that we may know you may be out there going through this same thing, facing the same thing that's going around out here. But you can make it through it.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it through it. Do what you know to do. Set up.
Like I said, we have a box.
Yes.
And
Set
we
up.
move.
Don't lay down. Fight this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fight it. With God, all things are possible. You can do this, and you can make it through it. Too many people are getting sick and dying from this, and you can do this. God
Mm-hmm.
can bless you and get you a little box or whatever you got to do. It's almost like we're getting a little heads up now of
Yeah.
what's going on. So pay attention and be prepared.
Well, Danny and I were talking about that yesterday. It's kind of like all throughout the Bible and throughout history, God gives you a thought process of like, okay, this is what could happen.
Exactly.
And then it happens.
And then it happens.
And so we're seeing last year, this is what could happen. It was a minute deal, but then it may escalate. So be prepared. And I do know you are one that you mentioned briefly. You usually are the nurse,
Yes.
the cook, the maid, the
Yeah.
babysitter, or whatever. If one of them's sick, she goes in. That
go
is her
take care.
ministry, is to take care of her family. And it doesn't matter which one it is.
No.
And it doesn't matter what the need is.
You know, and even in my church, I do that. I go, but this is going around. It stops you from doing your ministry.
Yeah.
And I love being able to help people in that capacity, where when they're not able to do anything, I can go in and help and be a blessing to them. And my hands being tied, not being able, because that mom and daddy don't come.
But you can, like you said,
Be
now
prepared.
you can still be praying, and you
Yes.
still can stand. She still can go outside the door. You still can take them
I
some
did.
food, because you got plenty of food.
We got plenty of food. We
And
prepared.
You can have it, and you can send what they need. Because lots of times, like you mentioned your daughter to me, your daughter was very sick, and her
Yeah.
husband
Was sick.
was sick, but he was also trying to take care of her,
He was
and
sick.
they have children.
And they both had it.
And so here's, what, 4 or 5 in the family? 4 in the family that were sick at one time. She can send food, leave it outside the door, and they can get it, and they can fix their stuff. At least you are being a blessing that way.
Yes, we've tried. Like we really tried to do what we could to help, and it still felt just as helpless. But God came through for us. He sustained us. He brought us through. We kept ourselves, when we gave our children back to God, because they were a blessing from God. We said, "Here, Lord, they're yours," and you don't never know what that means when you say that.
Yeah,
And
you don't.
finding out, out of 19 of them, we had our oldest daughter. She has 3 children. Our next to the oldest daughter has 2 children. Our middle daughter has 3 children, and our son has 3 children. And all 4 households, every one of them had it. Every
Wow.
one of them had it. And it was such an attack, but such a blessing. I told my daughter-in-law yesterday, I hadn't got over that God was merciful to us. that God, when people are standing by graves, we're celebrating they made it through. Some of them still, their endurance is not back, their strength is weak, they're weak, but they are this side of the grave. And we still got work to do. We still got to let people know you can do this. You can, whether it be homesteading, whatever it may be, if you allow God to lead you, He can open doors for you that no man can shut. And that's what He did for us. When I didn't know what to do for my children and I couldn't help, He could, and He would lead me. And even with one of our children, God healed her body of pneumonia because she was going to the hospital and the Lord touched her. And she'll tell you today that the Lord just allowed her to throw up, and what come up out of her lungs was unreal. And she is well today because of Him. But no matter what it is, they all come to our farm. They all come help. They all have their little places that they're doing their little homesteading on, and it's because God has blessed for us to take care of our family. This is what He has done here in our country, that He has blessed us to learn this from Danny and Wanda and like people, to learn how to do this and to better ourselves. George and I were talking about Danny with his new series with the soil and everything, how we feel like we're going to glean from that, because we could glean from each other if we so choose. God could show us and teach us, and it's a blessing.
And you are going, we talked about this, you are going to be trying to start a channel for Dry Gulch Farm.
Yes.
You will be showing some of the things that you guys are doing, some of the challenges, because she does have, you have some allergies, your husband has diabetes, then she has children along the way that have different things, and grandchildren. She can bring some of that out and how they work on their farm, and how you're starting from scratch basically on 25 acres, right?
Yes.
There was no buildings, no nothing. When you
No,
bought
it had timber growing on it.
Yeah.
And we had to wait for the timber to mature so that we could cut it, so that we could start. And we just want to let people know that you're never too old for your dreams to come true.
Exactly. So, guys, with that, Sharon, thank you for coming and joining us on Crazy Days today. And we hope that this new series that I'm trying to start will help some women, because there are women like Sharon out there that have the same issues, same thing going on in their lives, and it does help to hear another woman's perspective.
That's right.
And sometimes just something she said maybe will click with somebody.
That's right.
And so we're going to continue on, and she's going to be going and picking up a few things and headed out, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you from Crazy Days.